Hello, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm lovely. How are you?
Good, good. So, you are at the Second Amendment Foundation Gun Rights Policy Conference in lovely Tampa, Florida.
Hot Tampa, Florida.
How's what? I bet it is this time of year, in August, September, and we used to go down there, and it was like October, November before it was more comfortable. So it's a little on the sticky side.
Just a little bit.
But hey, you're at a 2016 Gun Rights Policy Conference.
It is the 31st annual Gun Rights Policy Conference. This is my third now that I've been to. It's put on by the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens to Keep and Bear Arms. And it is actually a free event, other than, of course, if you fly in, you pay for that and whatever. But the event is free, and it's basically hardcore Second Amendment activists who not only fight for Second Amendment rights in their state, local legislatures, but they also, I'm finding a lot of people, if probably not a majority, also train, and they're instructors. So they practice what they preach. So it's really interesting. And I don't know if you saw earlier, I posted a photo of research books, actual books, a pile of books that they provide. And they give new books every year about cases that have happened, different writings that have been out, done over the year about new legislation, etc. And they give those away for free to everyone that comes. And today, John Lott spoke. He has a new book out called The War on Guns. He spoke today, and of course he's like the statistical genius, right? In all of any kind of, when it comes to crime statistics or gun statistics, whatever. And he spoke, and he was the one of the big speakers of the day today.
So is there any particular focus on specific issues or things that are going on, or?
Well, no, they have an agenda. There's lawyers that are fighting for certain cases that come up and talk about what happened with cases during the year, what happened with their specific cases. The Second Amendment Foundation was involved in the Heller case, so that's always a big one. And then there's other cases that we never hear about, other than we hear about them here. There's one I'm looking into, Schrader versus the Department of Justice, and I'm trying to find out more information on that. That's another case that the Second Amendment Foundation is working on, where they tried to get a gentleman, they won his rights back because, as you know, on Form 4473, which is to, when you fill out the application to purchase a firearm, if you had a misdemeanor in your state, but that misdemeanor carried a penalty of over a year, the feds consider it a felony. Even if it was for something stupid like writing a bad check and you did it 20 years ago, you're a prohibited person. So this is a big case, and I'm trying to find out more details and information on it, because this could have really huge effects on giving back people who lost their Second Amendment rights for non-violent, non-gun-related crime that they didn't even maybe serve time for. You know what I mean? It's huge. It's huge. That's one of the reasons I hate the Brady Bill and I hate the NICS, because they're taking away rights from people who committed, maybe they committed a crime, but it was non-related to violence or anything gun-related. They maybe only got a slap on the hand, a slap on the wrist, but they're prohibited people from protecting themselves even 20 years later.
Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Well, we've seen you guys have been on the top of this whole, trying to get constitutional carry in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've had people like Michelle Lavelle who've run into resistance for no reason whatsoever, just because a local police chief kind of felt like it. To have a situation like that where you have a misdemeanor offense. I mean, I've had a misdemeanor offense in my past. It was criminal mischief, I believe they called it. And,
oh, really?
Oh yeah. Well, I let the air out of somebody's tires.
Oh, that's funny.
And that was it. And they thought they had flat tires, and they didn't. And I still got charged for that. So
wow.
I learned a lesson at a young age. Don't do that. But something as simple as a misdemeanor, that's a Class B misdemeanor. It's not. There's a fine associated with it, but it's like it's a traffic ticket.
Right.
Really. That's what it is. So you can imagine getting something like a traffic ticket and then never being able to defend yourself with a firearm for the rest of your life. That's absurd.
Right. Yeah, it's horrifying. It's honestly horrifying because I know multiple people who that's happened to, and there's nothing they can do about it. There really is nothing they can do about it. So what's happening is they're trying to make it so that there is something they can do about it.
Well, that'd be good. So, any other specific focuses? I know there's a lot of different things that go on. Of course, you have cities trying to ban guns. You have there's always talk about stupid things like smart guns, anything like that.
Oh yeah, one of the things that someone said brought up is that the gun control crowd just keeps trying to push the same useless laws over and over and over again. And I want to think it was Alexander Rubian. He's from the New Jersey Second Amendment Society. And he said that he noticed the legislators were passing bills that were already law. Like they don't even know what the law is, right? And then they want to pass new legislation just to say they're doing something about gun control.
I was going to say, we've had Alexander on the radio show.
Yes, he's fabulous.
NJ2AS.
He's fabulous.
Yeah, they were good guys. Okay, so I believe you have a reception this evening, correct?
Yes.
Half a day tomorrow?
Half a day tomorrow. More topics for discussion. Masad Ayub will be speaking tomorrow. I'll also be interviewing him. Another interesting thing tonight, or today I should say, it's been a long day. A man from Detroit spoke, and he talked about how he started, and it got his right to carry a firearm, and how he developed from, not being a firearm owner, protecting himself, to being one. And then he told the story about how one day, it was several years ago, he randomly put on his Facebook status, any woman who wants to be trained in a firearm, show up at the range on this day, everything will be provided for you. 50 women showed up.
Wow. He
does it annually every year now. This year, 417 women showed up.
Great. I just posted something on Facebook about, I guess, the number of women buying firearms is skyrocketed. And of course, women, it said, are most likely to just own a single handgun. And I'm like, well, as long as they own at least a single handgun and learn how to shoot the thing, that is what we want.
Well, and that's huge. And there's another story, Nikki Gosser, I'm probably saying her name wrong. She wrote a story called Denied a Chance. And it's about, she was being stalked by someone. And she was married. She was being stalked by someone. And unfortunately, her husband was a DJ. They used to do karaoke at a bar, restaurant. And they were doing their usual show one night. And they weren't, she had to keep her firearm in the glove box of her car locked up because she wasn't allowed to bring it in the restaurant or the bar because of the laws. And her stalker went in there and killed her husband.
Any of those stories that we never hear about because the press doesn't want to report them. And I know there's places that do now. We have all of these resources where we could go and look, but we're the only people who are looking at that stuff. It's not, and we're trying to share it, but majority of people still see the stupid media and they don't realize, well, here's a great example. The guy in the mall goes after people with a knife, asking them what religion they are, singing Allahu Akbar, and a NRA gun guy who happens to train people is the only one in the mall with a weapon because it's a gun-free zone, and he shoots and kills this son of a bitch.
Yep.
And that's the closest we get to people going, oh, look, that guy had a gun in a gun-free zone, and he saved people's lives.
Right. But the gun control crowd, they'd still rather focus on putting more gun control into place, even though it's been a complete and utter failure everywhere. And, John Lott, when he spoke, said gun control affects those who are the most vulnerable the most. Poor minorities in crime-ridden areas, women, and the elderly. Because if it's gun control in many of these places or in many cities is made difficult for these people to get firearms, or it's extremely expensive, right? I mean, it's bad enough you're buying a firearm, right? And we all know those can be range and price. But then on top of it, you have to do, some places you have to do all kinds of training, you have to do all kinds of application fees, you have to do all kinds of things just to practice your fundamental right to self-defense. And it statistically hurts minorities, women, and the elderly the most of anyone. The people that the left says they want to protect and they want to, they're advocates for, they're hurting the most.
All right. Well,
Sorry.
I'm not going to keep you from your reception any longer. Thank you so much, Kimberly Morin, for joining us from the Second Amendment Foundation's Gun Rights Policy Conference in Tampa, Florida.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steve.
All right. You have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.